1984. I was just an afterthought in the back of my father's balls, but I still vividly remember those good old times. Apple released their first ever Macintosh personal computer, minimum wage was at $3.35. Glad to see some things never really change. Cope. Ronald Reagan became the President of the United States of America, Jessica Fletcher was seen in the leading role of the globally loved mystery TV show Murder, She Wrote, and most importantly, Hokuto no Ken aired its first episode on Fuji TV on October 11th. Hokuto no Ken, also known as Fist of the North Star in the West, is a classic anime set in the post-apocalyptic world where the Earth is barren due to a nuclear fallout sometime in the 1990s, and the strong survive by preying on the weak. The series follows the journey of our main protagonist Kenshiro, the 64th successor of Hokuto Shinken, Divine Fist of the North Star, an ancient 18-year-old secret martial arts style that allows its user to destroy an opponent's body from within by striking into their secret channeling points. These techniques often resulting in a violent and gruesome death. Kenshiro actually uses his skills to protect the weak and innocent against the numerous villains that threaten their survival, in contrast to the general setting of the world itself. So, who is Kenshiro? Kenshiro spends his days wandering the wasteland in search of his lost love Yuria. He fights evil and injustice as he goes, killing the wicked and the cruel whenever he finds them. Kenshiro is violent and uncompromising, but he is not cruel, even though he has considerable strength and is not someone to shy away from a fight or ending an opponent. He is not the type to take pleasure from harming others. This is a distinction that really does set him apart from the standard villains and other characters the franchise offers. As Kenshiro continues to roam the wasteland, he never really stays at one place for too long, since his reputation does attract bad actors. He made a career of destroying those who preyed on the weak and innocent, which earned him a reputation as a sort of savior among the common people. Although Kenshiro is rather emotionally repressed and stoic like many male heroes in the 80s media of the time, what really set Kenshiro apart from the other stereotypical stoic heroes was that he also had a sensitive side and had kind-hearted moments where he actually literally let his tears flow. He is also quite famous for openly lamenting, and if you were to ask me, outright despairing over the suffering of the weak and innocent people that live on the now desolated Earth. Kenshiro is the prime example of an extremely selfless guy. He almost always puts himself in harm's way for those that are weaker than him and the innocent people who suffer under the oppression of the strong. Kenshiro absolutely, completely, utterly despises and loathes injustice whenever he sees it. He is therefore often motivated to go out of his way in his quest to find his lover to aid the people he encounters on his journey deal with a threat they can't overcome on their own. But even though he hates cruelty and he's not a fan of it, Kenshiro is not above using violence on those that oppress the weak. And when he does get angry, despite his stoic nature, he actually fully accepts his rage instead of painting it off as a flaw of his character which he needs to fix. He fully embraces this emotion. Kenshiro is actually a very deep character for the time, who wears the facade of being your average male 80s role model you often saw in other franchises of the time, but in reality he was a lot more complex than just a stoic male. But let's talk about what Kenshiro can actually do in a fight. So we do have to start this off by addressing the fact that Kenshiro technically has no real superpowers. Kinda. Referencing the 1986 magazine special Hokuto no Ken, All About the Man, we get several interesting facts about Kenshiro directly from the author himself. Such facts include, but are not limited to, Kenshiro can hear a whisper from 2 miles away, Kenshiro can see someone's aura in pitch black darkness, Kenshiro can catch arrows the moment they are shot, Kenshiro can dodge bullets, Kenshiro can smell just as well as a dog can, Kenshiro's grip, arm strength and back strength are all classified as unmeasurable, Kenshiro can repel bullets with his muscles, Kenshiro can move 100 meters in 9 seconds, Kenshiro can throw 50 punches in 3 seconds, Kenshiro can crack 5-meter wide rocks with a punch, Kenshiro can dive for 53 minutes straight, and many more things. I do advise you to look this magazine up for yourself because it does offer some pretty interesting insights in Kenshiro from the creator himself. But none of these abilities are what I would consider as superpowers, right? In the context of anime in general, he would just be classified as a very strong man. but in a different way from someone like, say, Luffy, who has a very distinct special power. Kenshiro's superpowers are actually in the school of martial arts he practices. Like we mentioned before, Kenshiro is the successor of the Hokuto Shinken martial arts school. Hokuto Shinken is a Chinese martial arts school which originated around 1800 years ago during the time where this guy here and a couple of yellow turbans rebelled against the regime. The Hokuto Shinken's power is derived from the concept of channeling one's energy in a single blow and striking it into one of the 708 hidden channeling points in the human body. These points are also known in Eastern medicine and several spiritual sectors as acupressure points, power points, vital points, Subo I believe, and they probably have a lot of other names. These pressure points destroy the enemy from within and causes the victim to explode, be controlled involuntarily, or otherwise incapacitated in a number of different means. And while a normal fighter only uses about 30% of his natural abilities, a Hokuto Shinken successor knows how to utilize his remaining 70% using one of the school's many techniques. And to add on to that, an experienced practitioner of this school can also copy an opponent's move by witnessing it just once. Hokuto Shinken has many different types of techniques that cover all types of situations. Some of these techniques that have actually been given a name include the Dankotsukin, a technique which causes the target's muscles to self-destruct, the Gekitsui Shi, which when landed correctly leaves the opponent with only 3 more seconds to live, and the Yakuretsu Ken, which is Kenshiro's signature move of sorts where he lands hundreds of blows to the enemy's pressure points in the span of seconds. Now there are obviously many other techniques which I haven't named here, but I don't want to waste you guys' time for 2 hours by covering every single one in depth. If you do want to know more about these techniques which I've not named or mentioned here, there are several wiki pages which are actually very detailed. I believe there are several interviews with the actual author where he explains some of them, so do take your time to look into that because it is actually pretty interesting to see the variety of the techniques the author has actually created for this martial arts school. But let's move over to the crux of this video. How far do I believe that Kenshiro could get in Dragon Ball? So, giving Kenshiro an accurate placement in Dragon Ball is a lot more tricky than I initially thought it would be, and I'll freely admit that. The more I thought about this, the more I noticed that Kenshiro's set of abilities makes him incredibly difficult and volatile to place. If you talk purely in how high I would estimate his power level to be in Dragon Ball, I'd probably estimate it to be about 400-ish, which is relatively low, but especially in the case of Kenshiro, power levels are not everything. The Hokuto Shinken is so incredibly adaptable that Kenshiro could take on many enemies several times stronger than him and still come out as a victor. If you are someone that has read the manga of Hokuto no Ken, you will realize that Kenshiro is capable of breaking through bunkers designed to tank nuclear impacts with ease. This in turn means Kenshiro could tank a nuke and survive. This also means that pretty much anything below planetary level attacks will not guarantee we'll win against Kenshiro. Due to this, we immediately entered the territory of Dragon Ball Z, where planetary level fighters became commonplace. Kenshiro is also debatably faster than light, which means he should be able to keep up with the speed of Raditz. Keep in mind that Piccolo was surprised that Raditz was able to dodge his light speed attack at that point in the series. And I am going to be completely honest here, I am very tempted to say that he could even make his way through the Saiyan saga. Kenshiro really is that impressive of a fighter if you were to ask me, like from everything I've seen, I don't think it's impossible. The adaptability the Hokuto Shinken provides alongside Kenshiro's insane levels of strength, speed and durability kind of offset the fact that he might just be a normal human all things considered. But as we all know, the jump of power between the Saiyan saga and the Namek saga is incredibly insane. We go from Vegeta with a power level of about 18,000 to Frieza with a suppressed power level of 530,000. And I do firmly believe that this is where Kenshiro would get outclassed to a point where the Hokuto Shinken can't really save him anymore. I'd guess he could probably deal with guys like Kui, Zarbon and the Doria, but the Ginyu Force could very likely smoke him. But still though, I went into this believing he would probably stop somewhere at the end of Dragon Ball, like that was my first assumption when just looking at it from the outside, right? Before I really went into details of, okay, what can he do? What are his achievements? What are his powers? Like at first glance, I thought he was just going to be, you know, kind of like a King Choppa Sakura kind of guy, a Penput kind of guy, maybe even like a Tambourine kind of guy. But oh boy, was I wrong about that one. Kenshiro is really a well-written character and a strong as hell dude to boot. And taking all of his abilities and his feats and his powers into consideration, I feel really comfortable saying he could at least make it to Namek. But what do you guys think about all of this? Do you think I underestimated Kenshiro, or did I maybe overestimate him? Be sure to let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But with all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for watching today's video. As per usual, I really appreciate everybody that watches my content. I've been seeing a slow but steady rise in subscribers, and considering I do relatively niche content, I'm just really surprised that I get as much support as I do. So yeah, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Like, it really just makes my day to think that I make videos that people enjoy. Like, I was thinking of a really complicated way to say it, but you know, there's no need. I'm just plain happy that you guys watch my content. So if you would like to see more of my content in the future, I have to ask, you know, please consider clicking the subscribe button and turning on all notifications for my channel so you don't miss a notification when a new video drops. And I would also really appreciate it if you would consider taking the time to watch some of my other videos as well. So yeah, work hard, study well, and eat and sleep plenty, and I will see you all again in the next video. Peace out.